8:15 or 8?
8 today, 8:15 on Thursday. You starting on Thursday?
Hmm?
You starting?
Examine and
Can hear you.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم 2 فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أتتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغن عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جود من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وأعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشأ نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا ونطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون ومن نعمره ننكسه في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولم يرى الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون وليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون صدق الله العلي العظيم.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك وأتوجه إليك بنبيك نبي الرحمة محمد صلى الله عليه وآله يا أبا القاسم يا رسول الله يا إمام الرحمة يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا أمير المؤمنين يا علي بن أبي طالب يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا فاطمة الزهراء يا بنت محمد يا قرة عين الرسول يا سيدتنا ومولاتنا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيهة عند الله اشفعي لنا عند الله يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها المجتبى يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا عبد الله يا حسين بن علي أيها الشحيد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن الحسين يا زين العابدين يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها الباكر يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا، يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا عبد الله يا جعفر بن محمد أيها الصادق يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا، يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا الحسن يا موسى بن جعفر أيها الكاظم يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا، يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن موسى أيها الرضا يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا، يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها التقي الجواد يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا، يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن محمد أيها الهادي النقي يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وزيا عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا حسن بن علي أيها الزكي العسكري يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا وصي الحسن والخلق الحجة يا وصي الحسن والخلق الحجة أيها القائم المنتظر المهدي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. حاجات ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا. يا سادتي وموالي إني توجهت بكم أئمتي وعدتي ليوم الفخر وهاجتي إلى الله وتوسلت بكم إلى الله واستشفعت بكم إلى الله فاشفعوا لي عند الله واستنقذوني من ذنوبي عند الله فإنكم وسيلتي إلى الله وبحبكم وبقربكم أرجو نجاة من الله فكونوا عند الله ورجائي. يا سادتي يا أولياء الله صلى الله عليهم أجمعين ولعن الله أعداء الله الظالمين من الأولين والآخرين آمين رب العالمين.
Dr. Dungersi, respected elders, brothers and sisters in Iman, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. On Thursday, we will have our Shabi Jummah program starting at 8:15 p.m., followed by Friday, Salatul Jummah at 12:05 p.m., and at 6:30 p.m. we will have the Wiladat of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali. On Sunday, we will have madrasa from 10:45 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., followed by the wafat of Bibi Zainab at 5:30 p.m., beginning with Salat. There is a Niyaz sponsorship for the following programs still open. Any assistance, including partial sponsorships, is greatly appreciated. We have it open for the Wiladat of Imam Ali alayhi salam on Friday, as well as the ladies only program Saturday morning. To donate, you can either visit sijni.org/donate, or you could text donate to 516-299-9952, or you can email the treasurer@sijni.org with your request or any inquiries. Can we have the Al-Ain flyer up, please? So this Friday, on the ladies' side, there will be a stand where you may receive custom Rajab Dua cards. The cards will be available for a suggested donation of $20. All the proceeds will go to the Al-Ain Social Care Foundation, so you may donate as much as you would like. So that you may receive your cards as soon as possible on Friday, you can pre-order them using the link that was sent out on the broadcast. If you are ordering for multiple people, please submit one form per person. They will be making last-minute requests on Friday, but we are encouraging you to order ahead so you can have your dua cards when you arrive. On behalf of the Sijni Management Committee, we would like to bring your attention to an important matter regarding your membership dues or lawajim. To simplify the process of determining your membership status, the updated list of all active members will be posted at the Almadi Center website it will be posted at Almadi Center on Saturday, March 4th. Our treasurers have been diligently working to contact all members via email regarding their membership dues. In order to maintain your status as a current member with privileges, it is crucial that all dues are paid up through the year 2022 by April of 2023. Should you not have received an email with an invoice for your lawajim, we kindly request you to reach out to one of our treasurers at the center or send an email at treasurer@sijni.org. For your convenience, payments can be made either online through the link provided in the email sent to all members or in person with our treasurers at the Almadi Center. We appreciate your understanding and cooperation in this matter. The Sijni Management would also like to inform all our community members of the next community meeting planned for Saturday, March 11th. It's extremely important that all our community members and their family members, young and old, to attend, as the management team, along with the trustees, will be presenting our future plans for our center here, as well as Al Husseini's Madrasa and our property in Jericho. The annual general body meeting, which will also include review of our accounts, will take place on Saturday, March 18th. Tonight's Surah Yasin was sponsored for the Ithad Thawab for the following marhumeens that are displayed on the screen. Let us all recite Surah Fatiha for all marhumeens. Bismillah. Lastly, let us all recite the ayah of Amma Yujib 5 times for all those who are sick here and around the world. And please keep Brother Mukhtar Akbar Ghulam Hussein in mind as well. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء 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 اللهم صل على. Let's recite aloud salawat as we call out Dr. Dungersi. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
سورة المباركة الفاتحة. بلغ الأولى بكماله كشف الدجى بجماله حسنت جميع خصاله صلوا عليه وآله صلوات. أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه تبارك وتعالى في كتابه المجيد كاف ها يا عين صاد ذكر رحمة ربك عبده زكريا إذ نادى ربه نداء خفيا قال ربي إني وهن العظم من واشتعل الرأس شيبا ولم أكن بدعائك ربي شقيا. Mu'mineen, this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about Nabi Prophet Zakaria. Prophet Zakaria is in a state where he turns to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and talks to him. This is what Allah says, Zikru rahmati rabbika abdahu Zakaria. What does Zakaria want? Is nada rabbahu minidan khafiya. Then he addresses Allah, the verses say, in a very low voice, in a very humble way. Qala rabbi inni wahana al-azmu minni washta'ala al-rasu shayba walam akun bidu'aika rabbi shakiya. He mentions about his position, his physical status. What does he say? Oh my Lord, my bones are weakened. He's very old. He says, Ya Allah, my bones have all become weak. And my head has this shiny hair. These are the sign of old age. Though sometimes we would want to hide it and we put whatever color on our head, but this is the reality. It's the body gives way and the sign is there is gray hair. And this is what Zakaria is talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he says, he asks for something from Allah. What is it that he's asking from him? He is asking for a child. min Ali Yaqub. What does he want? He wants a child. But he is very old. He knows his physical limitation. But he turns to Allah and is asking Allah to give him a child. Allah responds, Ya Zakariya, inna nubashiruka bighulam ismuhu Yahya, lam naj'al lahu min qablu samia. Allah says, Oh Zakaria, this is a good news for you. I am going to give you a son. That son that I have never given to anyone before. This is what I am going to give you. And when this happened, Nabi Zakaria again talks. Kala Rabbi anna yakunu li ghulamun wa kanat imraati akira faqad balaghtu min al-kibari tiya. Oh my Lord, how can I have a son when my wife is barren and I have reached the stage of old age, extremely state of infirmity? Allah says, so be it. It's going to be. This is one part. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the same prayers again. This is from Surah Maryam, Surah Al Imran. The same question. Zakaria talks about Allah. Hablina hunalika da'a Zakaria rabbahu qala rabbi habli min ladunka zurriyatan tayyiba innaka sami'ud du'a. Some of you will recall that this is the dua that many times people read in their kunut. What does he say? Oh Lord, Allah, grant me a good child. You always hear my prayers. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responds. And what does he say? The same thing. I am going to give you the child. And then he again says, قال ربي أنا يكون لي غلام وقد بلغني الكبر وامرأتي آكر. Again, the same thing. Ya Allah, you're going to give me a child when I am of this old age and my wife is in the state, she's barren, she can't produce her children. How is it going to happen? Allah says, Kala kazalik. This is what is going to happen. And then, in both these verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the child that is going to be born. And he gives a characteristic of this child. They are these two verses, if you look at them, they are 10 different qualities of this child who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give to Zakaria. Number one, he is going to be Sayyid. He's an eminent person. He is going to be Nabiya. He is going to be a prophet. He is going to be Hasur. He is going to be chaste. And he is going to be, having said all this, these are the three qualities that he mentions in the one verse. Then the second verse, which is from Surah Maryam, he describes again the quality of this child. وَأَتَيْنَاهُ الْحِكْمَةَ سَبِيًّا. As the state of childhood, I will give him the ability to make judgment, to make the best judgment. At this very young age, he is going to do that. وَحَنَانًا مِنْ لَدُنَّا وَرَكَاءً. And he is going to be full of compassion, full of kindness. And he is going to be a pure soul. وَكَانَ تَقِيًّا, and he is going to be God conscious all the time. وَبَرًّا وَبَرَّ بِوَالَدَيْهِ, he is going to be very good to his parents, obedient to his parents. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ جَبَّارًا عَصِيًّا, he is not going to be insolent, he is not going to be disobedient. These are the 10 characteristics that this child is going to have. The same thing in Surah Maryam, then Allah talks about Nabi Isa. The same thing. The mother is told, you're going to have a child. And she says, how can that be? I'm not married. So be it. And then you are going to have a child, and that child is Nabi Isa. And then Allah talks about, Nabi Isa talks about these qualities when his mother is being accused. That what kind of a lady are you? You're not married and you have got a child, and this is what you are? She is quiet. The child responds, and he mentioned these same qualities that Allah talks about Nabi Zakaria. Why did I pick up all these verses tonight? I'm not trying to compare, not comparison, just trying to show the status of the Imam from Ahlul Bayt. Imam Ridha alayhi salatu wassalam is at the age of 47. No children. No children at all. Age of 47. And remember, the lifestyle at that time, the longevity of life at that time was in that area, in that reign. If you look at all the Imams from Ahlul Bayt, 50, 55, 56, 47 years of his age, and there are no children. The enemies are happy. The friends are worried. The enemies are happy that he is abtar. The same thing that they were talking about the Prophet. That he is abtar. He's not going to have any children. After him, everything goes. The Shia, the friends, are worried. What is going on? And therefore, they asked the Imam. The Imam is asked. Ibn Qayyama writes a letter to the Imam, a person by the name of Ibn Qayyama, a follower of Ahlul Bayt. He's worried. He writes a letter and he says that how will you provide an Imam when you don't have a son? Then Imam alayhi salatu wasalam says, Allah will give me this child. And this child is going to be a boy, a male. See the contrast here between Nabi Zakaria and Imam from Ahlul Bayt. Zakaria is asking, and when he is told you're going to have a child, he is still worried. How can that be? This is my age. How can I have? As for Imam Ridha alayhi salatu, he has got so much faith in Allah. He assures people, don't worry, a child will be born. And therefore, at the age of 48, Imam Ridha is 48 years of age, he has a child. And that's the only child that he has. His son is born. Now comes the question again. Some people ask him, what do they ask him? The same question they pose to him. Yabna Rasulullah, you've reached this age. Who is going to be an Imam after you? And he tells them, I have a son now. The same question comes. A son, a child, who is 4 years, 5 years. And that's going to be the Imam of the time. You see, because age is a very important part of the equation. Every person has to go through this process of growth. For whatever profession, for whatever job, for whatever assignment that you want to do during your lifetime, there is a time formula. You have to grow. You have to reach a certain status where you can perform certain acts. Call a child 7 today. The best that you can do is you ask him to read the dua. And when the child reads the dua, you're so happy about it. Can the child do anything more than that? This is the issue that faces people, all of them. And this is the problem that Nabi Zakaria faces. That I have reached that stage where I cannot produce a child. That's it. But still he turns to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, hopefully. And Allah therefore says, I will give you a child. Still, he says, you will give me a child, but I have these difficulties. Physically, I cannot do it. My wife cannot do it. Allah says, it will happen. That's it. And the same case is Imam. Now he is told, this child, Imam mentions these verses of the Quran. And he says, look at Surah Maryam. What does Allah talk about Yahya and what does he talk about Isa? Look at Isa. How is Isa? He is just born. At least my son will be of some age. Isa was just born and he introduces himself as a prophet and talks about the qualities that he is going to have. So will my son do. And it is the light of this that we understand the character of this 9th Imam, Imam Muhammad Taqi al-Jawad alayhi salatu wa salam. Young, that Imam who had the shortest time with his father. Very young, his father, Imam Riza, is taken away. He goes to Mamun calls him, and he never comes back to meet his children, only child. At the age of 9 or 10, Imam Riza passes away. And now this is the child. And there are 3 problems, 3 challenges that Imam Taqi has to face. Number 1 is Mamun's efforts. They are enemies all along. Mamun has killed his father. And now Mamun has his eyes on him. This is one problem. The second problem is the jealousy of the enemies of Ahlul Bayt. Why jealousy? We'll just see why jealous. And third thing is his young age. And aid to all that is Allahu Akbar, his mother. His mother is a Nubian from North Africa, dark skinned. Therefore, Imam Taqi is dark in color. See, the same problem that we have today, it was there. How can this child who is so young, number 1, second thing is like he is not from among us, third thing he is dark. That's why you would call him Muhammad Aswad. Historically, they used to call him Muhammad Aswad. This is the Imam at the time and the problems that he has to face. How did he overcome these problems? Very briefly, we'll look at that, inshallah, with your salawat. These qualities which we have mentioned here, and I will repeat, these 10 qualities. Number 1 is this eminence. The character is such as eminent. God given gift of shining among people. Wherever he is, people see him, he's there. His presence is there. Number 2 is he is chaste. Number 3 is he is a prophet. He has prophetic qualities. It's not a prophet, has prophetic qualities. What are these qualities? Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions it. And these are, number one, has got that best judgment, like any prophet, like Nabi Sulaiman, for example. Ability to give the best judgment, number one. Number two is full of kindness, icon of kindness and goodness. Number three is purity of character. Number four is God consciousness, Taqi. As you see, one of the titles that is given is Imam Mohammad al-Taqi, that God consciousness. Then his attitude towards his parents. And finally, he is not insolent and he is not disobedient. These are the characteristics of this Imam. 10 years of age, becomes the Imam of the time. And he is running classes in Medina, age 10. So much famous that Muslims, those who wanted to learn Islam and learn all the ethics and all the morals, they were all coming back to Medina to be children of this child, if they want to call it. He was that intelligent. How would the Shias accept him, therefore? First point. Therefore, they go and question him. And he said for several days, 30,000, not one, 30,000 questions on different walk of life, different aspect of human behavior, of life, of science. 30,000 questions were asked to him. He answered all of them. That convinced the Shia community that indeed, young as he is, but he is the Imam of the time. When Bani Abbasis saw this, Ma'mun was very, very clever. He saw and heard about the fame of this child. Therefore, he invited him. He called him to Baghdad. Why did he call him? He had reason. 3 or 4 reasons are given. One reason is people were blaming him for killing Imam Rida. Therefore, to try and to minimize and try to prove that actually he was innocent, and therefore he has love for the child of Imam, therefore he is inviting him to come to Baghdad. But the real reason was, first of all, to remove him from that center of learning, that he was becoming so famous that people were turning towards him. So the best way was to get him out of there. Number one. Number two, he was very, very intelligent. He knew that the continuation, silsila of imamat, will be through this Muhammad, the son of Imam Rida. Therefore, he thought he has 2 things to do. One is to make him marry his own daughter, so that that progeny of imamat, if he was to be there, would turn towards his family. More than that, call him and make him live like they were living, so that the Shia community then lose faith in him, that after all, he is like any other child, a young man. Look at him, the way he behaves. He marries into the royal family, and he behaves like any other human being. So that silsila of imamate is brought to an end. It is with this intention that Ma'mun al-Rashid calls Imam to Baghdad. And that famous tradition, every time it is recited, and you have heard it before. And that is, now that he has called him, he doesn't even know where he is. He called him. He is going on his hunting, he goes hunting. He's going hunting with these people, fast running horses, Children in the streets run away because they don't want to be crushed. Mamun sees there is one young man, eminence, remember I've mentioned, a child who becomes child, but he is there, anyone sees it, his presence is there, and he sees him and he says, well, he stops, he looks at this child and says, son, why are you still standing here? All of them have run away. He replies again, that knowledge, that ability to communicate. He tells him, the roads are open and you are there running. Why would I want to go away? And I haven't done anything to be afraid of you. He asks, and who are you? He says, I am Muhammad, and he introduced himself. So, okay. Mamun goes hunting. They say there's falcons in the air. The falcon comes back with a fish in a mouth. Mamun and his people say, how come in the air there are fish, that this falcon has gone inside to hunt and has brought down a fish? He says, okay, give me this fish. He's hiding in his hand. He comes back. He sees the Imam again. He says, he talks with him, and he says, do you know what is in my hand here? Imam looks at him and says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created running water. And in this running water, there are fish, a lot of fish. Sometimes because it happens that some of these fish jump out of the water. And when they do that, there are birds in the air, a falcon, for instance. They go and catch that fish. Kings send out their birds up there, and sometimes these birds bring these fish. And the kings of the time use that to test the children of Rasulullah. See, this is the knowledge, this is what those characteristics which are mentioned with Nabi Yahya and Nabi Isa, and what Imam Ridha has said, you see in this child. So he brings him home, and now arranges for marriage, that we have to have this child. And Bani Abbas object these reasons. He's so young, and he is not pure Arab. He's dark-skinned, and you want him to make him part of the royal family? Mamun argues, say, you don't know how knowledgeable he is. He will become a shining star in our palaces. How come? Say, well, we'll test him. Therefore, he is put to test. What is this test? The Qazil Quzzat, the chief justice of the whole empire at that time. He is called to test this child. And a lot of people are invited. The court is full of people. And Imam bin Jawad, age 11, 12 by this time, is called in the Darbar. And Qazil Quzzat is going to ask him questions. And he asks a very tricky question. He is not going to ask something which everybody does it. He is going to ask him something which is very, very unique, and no one knows answers to this except he thought he knew the answer. So he says, he turns, look at the arrogance. He is asking Mamun, should I ask him a question? Mamun says, ask him yourself. He's asking. Now the compassion comes and the knowledge together. He says, what is the penalty for one who goes and kills a bird in the state, in the Khana Kaaba, the Muslim of Hajj? What is the penalty? Imam looks at him and says, your question, sir, is incomplete. Huh? Your question is incomplete. How come? Then Imam says, how was it done? When was it done? Where was it done? 24 different questions Imam raises. Tell me whether this person, for example, did this in haram or he did it outside the haram. Number two, did he do intentionally or he did by mistake? And if he did it by mistake, is he now repentant of what he has done or not? And when he did it, was he wearing the dress of Haji or Umrah? And did he hunt a bird which was a mammal or non-mammal? Like this, every question has its own answer. Now, which one do you want me to answer? The whole court is like quiet. He says, you tell us the answer. Imam gives the answer. I don't have time to give all that answer. Now, see, very politely, he asks Qazi, can I ask you a question also? The Qazi perhaps wish he had died on that day. He looks at him and says, yes, ask me. If I know, I will reply. If I don't know, you'll tell us. And again, Imam asks a question he cannot answer. And therefore, the Bani Abbasi now have nothing to say. The wedding is arranged. Imam is marrying the daughter of Ma'mun al-Rashid. And as Ma'mun had planned, the marriage is done. If you read some of these books that describe the wedding, you'll be surprised. Sometimes it looks like a wedding that are done these days. He did a grand marriage. Al-Irshad describes this wedding. If those who have time can read. There's a grand wedding is done. Why? Because Imam Raza's son is getting married. And he is becoming part of the royal family. Imam reads his own nikah. That nikah, the way he read it, is what is used today in our nikahs. The model in which he read this nikah. He was forced into this marriage, he married. Now, after he was married, this is the palace for you. He says, no. You're a royal family, this is a house for you. He says, no. I will live in a humble house of my own. I don't want to come and live in a palace like this. And then Ma'mun gives him, and this is history, 1 million dirhams. 1 million, this is your money, use it. He said it will be used in a useful way. How did he use it? One example is given. A young man, Bicharo, he was poor. He comes to the Imam, he's crying. The Imam says, why are you crying? Knowing that this man is called Jawad, that he was so generous that he helped people. So he comes to him and says, you know, why are you crying? I said, there is a particular lady that I wanted to marry. She's a slave. I wanted to marry. I cannot. Imam, okay. A day or two passed, and he calls him, come with me. They go together. They go to a small house, a decent house. Let's go inside. They go inside. The man is shocked. The lady is sitting there. He says, I already made arrangement for you. This house is yours. And that lady for whom you wanted to get married is already there for you. This is the generosity of this Imam. Number one. Number two, his house is open. Any visitor who comes and who needs help goes to his house, whether it's daytime or it's nighttime. Any person who is sick, there is a man who comes and says, my father is very sick. But then he sees the Imam himself is also not well. Imam says, still I will come with you. Compassion, kindness. These are the qualities that you see in this Imam of Ahlul Bayt. So many instances like this, that it is said when he went out, anyone who came to him, and he would give not less than 50 dirham at that time. This is how he spent that money. It is his haq. This money belongs to the Ummah. He took it from him, and he spent it in this way, helping people all along his life. These are the things that shocked Ma'mun al-Rashid. shocked him, because now he sees that this person is living in a humble house. His wife, Fadl, keeps on complaining. Why would we have to live in a house like this? We are from the royal family. Imam would say, royalty is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And more than that, Imam marries another woman. It's allowed in Sharia. And this woman is from the family of Maria Qibtiyya. She is from Nubia. She's a Nubian. She marries that lady also. And the wife is like upset. He goes and complains to Mamun. Mamun was in a state of intoxication. He goes there and with his sword and does all the injustice that he could do to the Imam. When he comes back, the second day he realizes what he has done. So he sends one of his slaves, go and find out what is going on. The slave goes there and he sees Imam sitting there. He cannot believe it. He says, Yabna Rasulillah, the shirt that you are wearing, I like it. Can you give it to me? Imam removes the shirt and he gives it. The man sees that his body, there is no harm at all. Then Imam asks him, and is this why Mamun has sent you to come and make me remove my shirt? And you can say, so. He didn't do that. Only I did it. These are the miracles that you would see with this Imam. 25 or 26 years of age only. This is the Imam who lived this kind of a life. And he is regarded as Babul Hawaij. There are two Imams. All Imams are Babul Hawaij. But the laqab that's given is to only two Imams. Imam Musa ibn Ja'far. Unfortunately, 7th night of Rajab is set for Imam Musa ibn Ja'far. But we must have forgotten, we didn't do that. But maybe when the Shahadat of Imam comes, we'll talk more about Imam Musa ibn Ja'far. He is Babul Hawaij. And Imam Muhammad Taqi is also called Babul Hawaij, Babul Murad. For all the difficulties that we have, we use him as our wasila. And therefore, very shortly, this is what has been done to humble and to humiliate him. No. His friends said, now that he is married in the royal family, what will he do to us? Still, they pay him a visit. And the friend describes, he had taken medication at night and he was very thirsty. So when he went there, he saw he is in a very, very simple, sitting in a very simple way. So he was thirsty. The Imam looks at him and says, you are thirsty? He says, yes, I am thirsty. So one of the servants went to bring water. Now the man says, I was suspicious that this person, the way he is living, these royal people will not let him live longer. They will kill him. I am afraid this water may be poisoned. And Imam saw what he was thinking. And he said, don't worry. He said, give me that water. Imam took a sip of it and then gave it to him. Drink, this is safe. These are so many things that are talked about this Imam during that short time that he was in the presence of Ma'mun al-Rashid. After that incident of him hitting the Imam, he set him free. So you can now go back to Medina. Imam went to Medina but did not live there long. Why? Because Ma'mun died. His brother, Mu'tasim, was an enemy of Ahlul Bayt. And he therefore called the Imam back to Baghdad. And the way he made life difficult for the Imam, Sheikh Abbas al-Qummi writes that Friday Imam prayed, turned to Allah, Ya Allah, if your pleasure is this, then take me away. And therefore, at the age of 26, he was martyred. Very sad, But this is what happened to the Imam. Before we finish, since it is his birth night, we'll talk very briefly about his birth. His mother, Subayka, or Sabika, or Khuzaira. There are so many names which are mentioned. She was, as I said, also from Africa. She was also a Nubian. And her status was such that Imam Musa ibn Ja'far, he quotes two things. He says that Amirul Mu'mineen, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, told Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib that there will come a time that a child will be born, a very young child, who will be separated from his father, who will be far away from, but he will function, and he will be the child of the most eminent, this Nubian girl. That's what the Prophet had talked about. This is the reason why some scholars have made a mistake. They have said that the 12th Imam, his mother is a Nubian, because this is what the Prophet had said. Sayyid Akhtar Rizvi cleared this. He said, no, when the Prophet referred to this Nubian lady, it was the mother of Imam Muhammad Taqi, and the child was Imam Muhammad Taqi. And therefore, Imam Musa ibn Ja'far told his family at that time that at that time when this lady comes in our family, I will not be alive. Give her the mother of Imam Muhammad Taqi, and the child was Imam Muhammad Taqi. And therefore, Imam Musa ibn Radha, the sister of Imam Ridha, Hakima Khatun, her name, she says she paid a visit to Imam's house, Imam Radha's house. And when she was about to go away, Imam Ridha tells her, don't go, stay here tonight. A child will be born. So she says, I asked him, child from where? Whom? From Subika, or Sabika, Sukaina, whatever her name was, Khidran. He said, but there are no signs. He says, yes, there are no signs, but the child will be born. Stay here. So she said, because of that, I went to the neighborhood. I brought 2 or 3 other ladies that could help us. And she says, at the time of dawn, a child was born. And this child was born reading Kalma Shahadatayn, and with a muhar of Nubuwa, of Imam on his shoulders. And at that time, Hakima says, I told my brother, I said, how come this is a very peculiar child? Look at him. He says, yes, because he is the Hujjah of Allah. So these are the nights which this is what, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the birth of Nabi Yahya and the birth of Nabi Isa, he says, the day on which this child is born, the day on which this child is going to pass away, and the day on which this child is going to be raised, those are the days of barakah. This is the reason why we try to do these functions on the right days, because these are the days of barakah. Tomorrow is a date of barakah, tonight is a barakah. You do it on Saturday or Sunday or Monday, that's okay. But the days of barakah are these days. This is, and very interesting, which I don't understand sometimes. When it comes to Shahada, oh yes, we do the exact day. When it comes to Wiladat, oh no, why? What is the difference? Quran says there is no difference. Masumeen have said, be happy on the days on which we are happy, and be sad on which you are sad. So on the day of crying, we all make sure. But on the day of birth, and when you ask them, say, birthdays in the Fanya when it is convenient for me. I say, Alhamdulillah, when it is convenient, then it is convenient. At least we do it, don't forget it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
أفضل الصلاة
والسلام عليك
محمد وآل محمد باد صبا لے جا مدینے میں پیام علیک جھک جھک کے پہنچا دے مدینے میں پیام پیدا ہوئے یثرب میں آج مولا تقی جس کا لقب ہے جواد مولا تقی اے راحت قلب نبی مولا تقی لیک بہرے کرم عالی امم مولا تقی یا بجعفر سلام لیک یا نجی اللہ سلام علیک یا سفیر اللہ سلام لیک احمد یا محمد اماموں کی زیارت نصیب کر خدا جو محتاجوں کی جلد حاجت روا ظہور مہدی ہو جلد کر خدا امام تقی آج پیدا ہوئے امام تقی آج پیدا ہے شہ ذوالکرم آج پیدا ہوئے ہے 5 اور 9 مل جہار دہتان احمد والی زہرا و حسن شبیر سے لے تائم شبیر سے لے تا امام زمان ایک ایک پہ صدا صلوات پڑھو صلوات صلوات
کے بے نثار گوہر میکا الانبیاء قبول یکون انبیاء دا صفات السلام عليك يا مولاه يا أبا عبد الله السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء سيدتي نساء العالمين السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين خصوصا سيدي ومولاي يا أبا الفضل العباس وأختك زينب وبنتك سكينة جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليك يا مولاي يا غريب الغرباء السلطان أبا الحسن مولانا علي بن موسى الرضا كن شفيعنا وشفيع والدينا في يوم الجزاء ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليك يا مولانا يا صاحب الزمان سيدي الأمان 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 السلام عليك يا كعبة الإيمان السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن السلام عليك يا إمامنا وإمام الإنس والجان ورحمة الله وبركاته بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات